you've watched any of my other videos on anime or anime figures, you'll know that I'm a pretty big fan of Is the Order a Rabbit? So you can imagine that when I saw this figure go up for pre-order and when I saw the prototype versions of it, that I was definitely interested. Now there's another Sharo figure as well. I can't remember the name of the company. That figure does not look good at all, even in the pictures. And then add on to that, that's what they want you to see, and then what you see in real life, it gets even worse. I saw it myself in Akihabara. It was when it came out. It did not look good. I passed on that figure big time. When I saw this one, it looked good in the pictures. The big issue was it's by a company called Toys Works. I've never heard of them. And I clicked on them, looked at their stuff on my figure collection in terms of their past, and they do not have a very good reputation. I looked at some of their figures, some of which I did recognize, but didn't know that they were Toy Works. They're not good. So this was quite the gamble. It looked good in the pictures, it could come in the mail and be terrible. And now that I've got it, it's a pretty decent figure, but it does have some issues. Of course, the box is almost a part of the figure itself. People don't usually throw these away. The box for this figure is acceptable, not very good, not particularly good. It's, in comparison to other boxes I've had from like Good Smile Company or Alter, they'll sometimes have like a nice thick matte finish cardboard on here. Now I know this is, who cares about this stuff, but I feel that it's worth mentioning on a figure that's from a company who aren't really that well known. Interestingly enough, a lot of these issues aren't relating to the sculpt of the figure itself or the color choices, but rather a lot of small quality control errors. I didn't notice a lot of these until I made this video when I was about 2 or 3 inches away from the figure with a camera. So if you get this and you're just going to put it in a cabinet, you might not notice some of these issues, but frankly they shouldn't be there in the first place for a figure that's more than $100. If you can look closely in my video, you'll see there's a lot of small imperfections on the hair, and then one really big one on the top where there's all these black spots. And then on her left arm where she's holding the cane in her arm, you can see kind of like these black marks on there. It's not great, and when you look at the wild geese little rabbit himself, he's got a little bit of weird paint stuff going on. There's just a lot of small imperfections that you notice when you get a little too close to it. In terms of accessories, you get, of course, the hat that she's holding in the picture, and you get the cane, and finally, you might not know about this, but you also get this little rabbit. He was called Wild Geese in the show, I think. He's got the little tuft of hair, and he's got the scar on his right cheek. I think his name was Wild Geese. And he can go on the bottom of the base, which is how they have it advertised in most of the images I've seen, but he can also go into the hat itself, which I think looks far, far better. He goes in there pretty easily, and the hat itself, it has like a little notch in it, and it fits underneath her finger, and in the video it looks like it's hard to get in there. That's just because I was at an awkward angle. When you have a proper angle of it, it's very easy to slot the hat in there, and it's very firm, and it looks good. The cane also goes underneath her arm. That's very easy to get in there, and it's obviously not going anywhere. I know that bases are a common complaint, and you might be sick of hearing people complain about bases, but the base on this figure, I'm gonna complain about it. It's ugly. It's this ugly translucent diamond-shaped thing, and it has no design on it. It's just a orange translucent thing. It doesn't match the figure. It's not even the same orange hue as the ribbon on the hat or the little bow thing. I'm not sure what the thought was behind this, and it's a 2-part assembly as well. It has just the base itself, and then it has 2 holes, and then this little thing that goes into the bottom of her right shoe. That was quite the bitch to get in. That's why I didn't show me unboxing and assembling the figure, because that little part was a bitch to get in. This figure is of course based off of an illustration from Koi, the original creator of this series, where all of the characters are in this casino and they're all wearing these bunny outfits. It does match the show, obviously, bunny, rabbit outfits. And I'm generally not into bunny figures, and that's probably due in part to freeing with their 1/4 scale bunny figures that I fucking hate. This one is a little different. This kind of looks different than most bunny figures to me. It has a more cute and soft look that reflects the nature of the show. Interestingly enough, at the Wonder Festival in summer of 2016, not too long ago at the time of making this video, they showed 2 more figures that seemed to fit this set. It was Chino and Coco, and they had the same outfit. They were based off of the pose from the artwork. But the interesting thing about that was that the company making them was Paltra, which is another not very good company. I've at least heard of them. I've never heard of Toys Works before. Paltra I've heard of, and they're not very good. So I've never heard of a set of figures, one company making the first figure and then another company like finishing the set. I've never heard of that, but I have to assume that that's what's going on here. They have to be matching this set. So overall, I am enjoying the figure much more than I thought I would. I thought it could, again, have been a disaster, and it's not. But the quality control issues, the little paint smudges that are dispersed around the figure in various places, that's holding me back from really loving the figure. If I was giving it a score, which is kind of ridiculous to do with a figure, but I have to quantify it somehow, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. It's a good figure. Now, I could only recommend this to someone who's a huge fan of the show or the character, because it's not a good enough figure that you would just buy this if you're into figures that look really nice and pretty.